On August 18th, just the second day of the school year, students gathered in the gym to receive their iPads. They had the support of their teachers, of the whole Nanwalek staff. It was an iffy weather day, but Apple staff and Dustin from our district team came over to help them set up their iPads. District Superintendent Sean Dusick, Peggy Erkinoff, and Jim White linked in to help them celebrate. Chief John Kvasnikoff, the IRA Council, elders, community members, and families all came to give them encouragement. This picture shows almost all smiling Nanwalek Eagles holding their iPads and ready to get to work. Students and teachers immediately dug in and began the hard work of learning how to effectively use our iPads for learning. In technology, they use the acronym SAMR to help describe the ways that technology is used in the classroom. Substitution and augmentation describe ways that technology is used in that it replaces or substitutes for paper and pencil with maybe a little bit of enhancement. This is sometimes thought of as a lower level because the same or similar work could be done with paper and pencil. What we have found during our initial iPad use in Nanwalek is that all the levels of utilizing the iPad are important. Students are able to access a multitude of books that we can't offer them in our limited libraries. They're able to access classic books or different interpretations of the same book. Even though this is a lower level use of technology, in the past, these types of resources have not been available to our students. In the past, our internet was so slow that if students had specific questions that would be fascinating to look up on the internet, I would write it down to look up later. We would miss many of those spur-of-the-moment learning opportunities because we didn't have reliable access to the internet, to information that many people have, that our students deserve to have, and we are so excited that they now have it. Modification and redefinition describe technology that is used in fascinating ways, and students are able to create products that have never been possible before. Students are writing, illustrating, and publishing their own books. They're able to distribute their creation to others. They are connecting with scientists and other students from around the country. Students are creating interactive tutorials that explains their thinking. They are creating movies with sound and interactive titles. They're able to express themselves in ways that only Hollywood producers could in the past. When teachers and students jumped into teaching and learning with their new tool, let me show you how high they jumped. This is a mind map that Mr. Frazier, one of our teachers, created with staff to brainstorm the different apps that we were utilizing in our classroom. This was done in September at our very first early release. This has only increased and deepened as time has went on. As a secondary teacher, these littlest learners are a little intimidating. When I watch them and how fantastic they are at understanding how their iPads work, I can't wait to see how proficient they'll be by the time they get into the upper grades. Let's listen to Mr. Reinseth tell their story, and then we will see some of their projects.
My kindergarten and first grade students have been using the iMovie app on our iPads on a daily basis for learning our phonemes. Every day we learn a new phoneme and create a video to celebrate that phoneme, and then the students create an iMovie with that, which enables them to review that phoneme that we've worked on that day or previous days to really build a solid foundation so that they can become emergent readers.
Let's take a look at one of the phoneme videos that Mr. Reinseth was talking about.
We're working on the sound P for parrot. Partner. Penny. Penny. Puppy. Papa pear. Pen.
This is a screenshot of an iBook that Mr. Reinseth has made for his students. He makes one every day to add to their collection. On this screen, you will notice the pages of the book and the little speaker icon. When students push the speaker icon, out comes Mr. Reinseth's voice. Mr. Reinseth reads the book phonetically and fluently with the students. This has been an incredible gift, and that at any moment, students can sit down and read with their teacher. Second and third grade has been busy with interventions, with exploring learning on new levels, and with writing and creating their own books. Let's hear what Mrs. Frazier has to say.
iPads create an enjoyable and engaging learning environment for the students. They're also preparing students for the real world in which technology plays a large role. With each student having their own iPad, it makes using technology so much easier and accessible. In the past, when we only had one cart of mini laptops for the whole school, my students only had access to them about once a week, and it was mainly then used for interventions. But now, each student has their own iPad, and we can go on them whenever needed. Now we can be reading a book that takes place, for example, in Egypt. My kids can hop on their iPads and start exploring what Egypt is like, looking at pictures and videos. It makes the story come alive and more engaging. My students enjoy using the iPads because of their experience. The sounds and the images, the graphics, they pull the kids in much more than a worksheet ever could. Another benefit is that when we use them, for example, to do math interventions, the math apps give immediate feedback on whether they're correct or not, and if not, they can teach them lessons so that they learn how to do it correctly.
Here is a Halloween book published by Mrs. Frazier and the second, third graders. Each student created a page. You can kind of see them along the bottom. The student-created pages are completed in a program called Pages. Students learned to add images from the internet that were free from copyright laws. Students enjoyed writing, yay! Inserting images, sharing with their classmates, and reading what their classmates had to share. I've got to peek into the 4th, 5th grade classroom, and it is difficult to keep up with their learning. Let's hear what Ms. Gentry has to say.
My 4th and 5th grade students begin each day writing a journal entry on Pages. They love to tell stories, and just by having their own spell check helper, they are confident to write even more than they normally would. We also correct and airdrop our daily oral language on our iPads. We've created our very own classroom website, and my students are now blogging. We use iPads with our Success for All reading program as well. We use Simple Minds to create story maps or other graphic organizers. We use the Read, Write, and Think applications to create Venn diagrams. We use Nearpod for vocabulary review, reading comprehension, choral reading, and super speed reading. Now my students love to see if they get the answer right or if they got a similar answer as a classmate. They are so engaged. We can also create our own music concerts using GarageBand, and they love to sing with other kids around the world on Smule karaoke. In social studies, my students really enjoyed our Nearpod presentations on the Civil War and Thanksgiving. The stories really came to life by adding video clips, drawings, and virtual field trips to the lessons. It makes learning more interesting and fun. It has been such a joy to watch my students this year. Their confidence has grown, and they are so eager to learn.
We're going to take a look at what 6th through 12th graders have been up to. Let's hear from Mr. Frazier.
Right now there are a lot of great things that our iPads are providing for our students and doing. In my classroom, I think the best thing right now is that my classroom website gives them a vehicle through their iPads so they know what objectives we're doing today. so they can fill out planners quickly and easily and preview the daily work, or if they're gone, go back and look at what they've been missing. I think another thing that's going great is product creation using different apps like Pic Collage or Keynote, and maybe to a lesser extent right now iMovie. I also love how quickly it allows us to link students to resources and assignments. And I also love that my students are practicing geography skills quickly and easily using a couple different apps. Awesome. Yeah.
Here are some of Mr. Frazier's students hard at work. I also have the joy of teaching these secondary students. I chose to share the picture in the right-hand corner purposefully. The iPad has become a powerful tool to use to reach students. In this particular picture, you see many students working on their hands-on equations. I'm able to give individualized help to one student by asking him to work on something specific on his iPad. And then you see Kelly, an educator on our campus, who is working individually with a student. That's one of the powerful things that I've seen as I'm able to walk through campus, is teachers adding this tool to their toolbox to help reach students. Another powerful use that I've seen in the secondary, on top of differentiating for students, on top of students being super engaged in their work, is their growing ability to run an experiment or simulation, record their data and observations using their iPad, using that data to create charts and graphs and make meaningful conclusions based on their data. One of my concerns was that the iPad would be isolating for students, and it absolutely hasn't done that. You can sense from these pictures how students are working together. Here are a few examples of projects that students have completed in this semester. In this experiment, students simulated natural selection. This student displayed her data in a chart, used formulas to make calculations, and made a meaningful graph from her chart and shared one conclusion. She chose to make a conclusion about the birds, and our next student chose to make a conclusion about the food available to birds.
Our bird beak experiment was trying to see what kind of beaks could eat different foods. The best beak was the fork because it could stab stuff and scoop stuff up.
My data shows that the birds on the island mostly ate the pinto beans.
And in the last project I wanted to share, a student takes a kind of abstract concept of biomes and relates it to her own life in Nanwalek.
The Northwestern Coniferous Forest by Alexis/me. The Northwestern Coniferous Forest is moist. Wolves live in this region. Plants such as blueberries grow in the Northwestern Coniferous Forest. Nanwalek is like a coniferous forest with all its trees and plants. Bears and wolves are top predators in this region. Water, rock, soil, snow, clouds, and sunlight are all abiotic factors of this region. These are some plants that grow in this region. These are some biotic factors of this region.
Let's hear what others have to say.
The Connective Project has just been over-the-top exciting for Nanwalek School this year. It's just been very engaging for students and staff. It's provided an opportunity for the students here to deepen their learning and increase their skills. But in addition, it's provided a way for the students to preserve their Sukstun language, learn their Sukstun language, preserve elements of their culture using the iPads. So, you know, it's just really a perfect blend for this school in helping increase the possibilities of students moving on to post-secondary schools in their adult lives or being successful in their selected jobs, and also having a way to advocate for and preserve language and culture. So we're very, very, very excited. Everybody is very engaged and working hard on this project to make it a success.
You could go on to pages and make stories, and also you could you get to send pictures and stuff to other kids in your classroom, like you get to share funny photos or something. And we get to put the pictures on our books, and after we can, like, when we're done with our books, then other kids can read them. After we're done doing the pictures and books.
Can I read one of your books? Thank you.
During my reading group, I had a little bit of difficulty with student attention and paying attention to roughly 30-35 sight words that the students read for each reading mastery lesson. So I have been using the iPads to download flashcards for the sight words for the first 3 columns, which is usually about 17 or 18 words. And then after we use the iPads, they're able to finish up on what normally is about 5 or 6 columns of words, and it has helped significantly in having the students focus on those words to improve their reading ability.
Our whole school is lucky, very lucky to have iPads, because our class got these cool apps, and one of them is called Creations, and we could talk, voice ourselves, write what we're saying out, and you could add images and type in it. Another cool one that I learned is iMovie, and sometimes I use that at home or on other people's iPods and iPads, and those are fun. Also, Doodle Buddy, where you could draw and have fun when it's free time, or there's like cool stickers and it comes with the noise, so it's really fun to use, and that's why I like the iPads.
It's just really, like I said, amazing what it has done for our school. It has helped the students become a lot more involved in what happens here, and I noticed attendance, I should mention that, A's for attendance, has improved, and the relationships between the teachers and students are a lot more, have improved greatly. And I just think Apple has been really super good for our entire community. It's gotten parents involved with their students, and the students have been teaching their parents and their siblings that aren't quite in school yet or have graduated.
Learning